welcome everybody, and we really appreciate you coming out in the rain. It's not an ideal night to come out, but we're really pleased that you've made the effort. We're very grateful to have a wonderful crew of women that are going to give us lots of worthwhile information tonight, and you'll have the chance to ask questions and learn about what life is like in the construction industry as a woman. And we are going to have a wonderful compere, which is Amy Williams. She's the Business Development Manager at ADCO Construction, and she's then going to introduce you to the rest of our panel and run the evening for you. So can you all give Amy and everybody a very big welcome.
Thank you very much. I don't have to introduce myself now, which is always nice. Yes, as Leone said, I am the Business Development Manager at ADCO Constructions, and I also sit on the senior leadership team and on the Women of ADCO Executive Board. And absolutely thrilled to be here tonight. I begin, though, this evening by acknowledging the Gadigal people, the traditional custodians of the land in which we meet today, and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. Now, as I said, it's my pleasure to be here alongside this gorgeous panel of women, and we will share with you our career insights and highlight the vast and varied opportunities that exist within the construction industry. Hopefully, along the way, we'll be able to debunk some of the common myths and misconceptions about the industry that no doubt some of you have had. So I'll move along. I want to say a big thank you to the companies who are supporting this evening, and a shout out to TSA, to which Dawn belongs, and to John Holland and CPB Contractors. Eloise is a new undergrad at John Holland CPB, and to ADCO Constructions, where the rest of the panel work and where I also work. Yeah, and where Jeff Kingston also works. Thanks for coming along, Jeff. It's good to have a fellow employee with us. Look, in a little while, you'll hear from our panel, Erica, do you want to give a wave? Dawn, Eloise, Claire, Angela and Brittany, and they will share their candid insights on the opportunities, challenges and excitement the industry has offered over their varied careers. And our intention is to provide insight into the multifaceted construction industry and reinforce the significant role that women can make to the social and economic development of Australia. And it is significant. And I'll share with you some high-level headline stats in a little bit. But I wanted to ask, by show of hands, how many students in the room have ever considered a career in construction? A few? Okay, cool. Yeah, more than I expected. So that's great. That's a good start. Hopefully, when I ask that question again at the end of the presentation, there's a few more hands in the air. But I want you to read what's on the screen and really take that in, because the world's most iconic structures wouldn't exist without the inspired planning and execution of people working within the construction industry. And construction isn't just about getting your hands dirty. Isn't that right, Jeff? But there's many, the understanding and the processes and the systems involved in construction have created what is an extremely diverse range of potential roles. And you'll see that as we work through. So each of the women on the stage have taken a different career path and have experienced construction in a different way. So it's not all about being on site and getting your hands dirty, although can I say that women are underrepresented significantly in trades in the construction industry. So do consider that if that is something that you're interested in. But there are so many other roles, and you'll hear more about that in a little bit. So to just give you some of the headline stats, and you may already know this, but the building and construction industry is the nation's it's second now, but it was third when they did the 2001 ABS stats, and it generates over $360 billion in revenue, and that is around 9% of Australia's GDP. There's a projected growth rate, which was 2.4. It was revised yesterday to 3% in the next 5 years. So that's huge. That is going to result in over 100,000 new jobs, and we're already anticipating a shortfall of 118,000 roles by May next year. It's, the stats are on the screen, but one of the fun things that I really like is Australia is really leading the way in green building. And I know that that is of particular importance to many of the Gen Zs who are probably in the audience feeling that construction is perhaps not a sustainable industry. Well, I can tell you there's a big shift happening, and there's so much more attention on sustainability. And fortunately, we have Eloise, who'll share a little bit about that later on as well. So there is huge opportunity within this industry as it continues to grow, and as there's a continued requirement for schools and hospitals and arts and cultural facilities, there will always be a role for women and men in the construction industry. I wanted to just quickly touch on some of the really varied career opportunities and also highlight that there is a labour shortage and that opportunity extends to 2025. So because women are represented at the moment to almost 13% of the industry, there is a desperate need for more women to enter the industry. And it has been proven that diversity in industries only creates more opportunity and will contribute more to GDP as more women enter the industry. But just on the screen there's many roles represented on the stage and in the audience, no doubt. But I'm sure that there's a number of different careers that you see before you that you perhaps wouldn't have considered as being core to the construction industry. And some interesting ones there. You know, I'm sure you're not shocked by carpenters and joiners, but sustainability managers, that is one that is a very strong desired career. And actually at the moment, the top occupations that are in demand are architectural, building and surveying technicians, contract, program and project administrators. Now, some of these roles and careers may not resonate with you. And look, at the end of the session tonight, if you do have any questions around the roles that have been mentioned, please come and chat to us. But in addition to that, we've got civil engineering professionals, electricians, carpenters and joiners. And these are roles that right now, today, we have a severe shortfall. And we are seeking people to fill these roles. So please do consider these amongst the others. And I'm sure there's roles that aren't on the screen and opportunities on the screen that will be created in the future as well as the industry expands. Now, some of the skills needed to work in the construction industry, and I've kept this pretty high level, is communication, people with a growth mindset, critical thinking, literacy and numeracy, technological skills, time management, organisation skills, attention to detail, teamwork, collaboration, and leadership skills. If these are skills that you already possess or you're working on as an individual now, then you will be received with open arms into the construction industry. So there is just, I can't say enough that there is huge opportunity, and that the tunnel that you may have been looking down in terms of what you considered to be, you know, a hands-on, dirty labourer on site, that needs to be completely removed from your thinking, because there's so much more opportunity out there. Now, I said I was going to try and debunk common construction industry myths. The girls will also work on this as well. But some of the things that we've read and through our research that's come across my desk in particular is that women just don't work in construction. Well, we're here to debunk that myth straight away. All of us do on the stage here. Construction workers aren't educated. Well, I can guarantee you that that's not the case. I know some people have multiple degrees. Construction is dangerous. Well, that's just not true. Yes, there are dangerous roles and there are dangerous situations, but it is safety, and I can speak to ADCO as a business. Safety is our priority, and there's so much attention. Actually, that was probably a role I didn't put on the screen on the last page, but health and safety managers are a very, very key and important role in our business and across the industry. Construction is bad for the environment. Well, I told you before, that's not the case, and there's more and more attention being focused on green building. And there's people, I know Angela here has a Green Building Council accreditation and is seeking professional level accreditation in a few weeks. Another one, no career progression. Well, I mean, the ladies will tell you shortly that too is just not true. Yes, women are underrepresented in CEO roles, but there is a huge change to that coming. And I can proudly say that the owner of our business, and a business that turns over $1 billion a year across the country, is a woman. And she is the sole owner of ADCO Constructions. And I'm super proud to work for a business that is owned by a construction business, mind you, that is owned by a woman. But there are also a number of other women leading the way and managing tier one, which means like large construction project businesses. And Roberts Co is an example of that, and Build Corp. And I'm not sure if these companies stand out. Lang O'Rourke is actually managed by a woman now as well. So some big companies with women leading the way. So we've asked ourselves the question, why are there so few women in construction? And we've landed on the fact that we think that there's been just a lack of awareness for young women, particularly at school, when making choices for year 11 and 12 subjects, that aren't aware of the real depth of career opportunities in the industry. So we're out here trying to change that understanding and also to show that there are role models, female role models in the industry that young women can look up to and aspire to. I mentioned our owner, Judy. She is certainly a role model of mine. There's also, as I mentioned, a lack of understanding of the diversity of roles. And look, I think hopefully by the end of this evening, that won't be the case at all for this group. And that there's unappealing working conditions for women. And I would say that that's probably when thinking about being on site, not necessarily being in the office. And look, there is a big shift that has occurred, and I can speak only to ADCO's business, and the ladies will speak to theirs. There is a massive change in what those conditions are on site. Yes, when you're doing a build, there is mud and there is concrete and there is dust, but there are also incredible working conditions. Our site sheds are amazing. We've got a hospital project in Liverpool, and it is one of the fanciest site sheds I've ever seen. It was decked out by our pre-construction manager before he shifted across to our new business team. He was the project manager there, and he is so bougie, and he turned that site office into the fanciest space ever. So it's a really nice place to be, and the people who go to that site every day enjoy being there. And I can say that for all of our sites as well. So we'll come back to this at the end of the evening, but there are so many reasons why I would like for the young people in this room to just open your minds and consider a career in construction. And the benefits, I've got 2 slides on this. The benefits are there on the screen, but I can tell you that the industry offers truly like high income potential, leadership opportunities, the chance to travel. And we've got Claire here who's worked in construction here and overseas, and you'll hear about that before. There's an ever-growing focus on technology and innovation and sustainability and all of these really exciting things that we are all part of. And we are there trying to drive this forward, and it takes energy and initiative and different perspectives from young people and mature people as well to help drive these initiatives forward. And we're in a business at ADCO that is really agile when it comes to things like this. So we're given, not an open, slather to go ahead and do whatever we want, but it's pretty flexible and agile in decision making when we see that there's a gap or an issue that we can resolve. We're given full freedom to go ahead and work out how to resolve it. And that is, that's just speaking to ADCO. I know there's other businesses as well that are probably even more agile than ours. Here's just a few other exciting, reasons why a career should be considered. And look, I think, forging a career in the building and construction industry can be one of the most fulfilling paths you can take in employment. And you'll hear about some of those different pathways now as I introduce to you our panellists who will do their own intro and share with you a little about their journey. And we'll probably start back in high school when they were first considering what they were going to do post-school. So first cab off the rank is Erica. Erica, away to you.
Hi, good evening. Oh, it's quite loud. I didn't realise my voice carries that much. My name's Erica. I'm a senior project engineer at ADCO Constructions. I'm 28 years old and I've been in the industry since I was 20, so for about 8 years now. Still a baby compared to some of my colleagues on site who've been in the company for about 30 years, 40 years, so quite a small chunk of the cherry. I guess when I was sitting where you guys were sitting, I think I didn't quite know what I wanted to do, but I knew what my interests were. So when I did my year 11 subject selections, it was like, I was really into maths. So it was like extension maths, physics, chemistry, biology, all the STEM subjects you could think of. And initially I was like, oh, it'd be really nice to go into biotechnology. I had some cousins doing their PhD in that, civil engineering, structural engineering, you name it. I went to all the, career nights that you could think of because I'm a bit of a control freak like that. But then on the other side of the spectrum, because I'm a woman, I guess, of many interests, I did a lot of, English, legal studies, anything where I could just keep writing and keep talking all day, all night. And, there I was kind of thinking I wanted to maybe go be a lawyer or, any other kind of career related to English and the arts. So I was, as you can see, there are two sides of the spectrum, very, very black and white on one, and the other one was I could argue my way out of anything and everything because it was all grey. So what I did was I went onto the internet and I literally researched and went onto every single university page I could find from here to the States and everything. I was determined to find something that I felt would suit my personality and my interests. I sat in with my cousin in a lab one day and I just looked at him just sitting there and I was just like, I couldn't do it. I just was too talkative and just needed to get out there. So I eventually found construction management on the website at the University of New South Wales, and I kind of from there just researched all the different roles, looked for videos that I could find, a day in the life of, etc. There wasn't a lot out there back then, but I just took the leap and decided to enrol. So I graduated from UNSW in 2016, majoring in property development. In my third year, I actually started my cadetship at a company. They did a lot of high-rise buildings, so you can kind of see
This one.
a couple of those. To this day, some of those buildings, I drive past them and I go to my husband, I did that one and I did that one. And he goes, no, you've already told me that multiple times. And I still do it. I did it the other weekend. I'm like, do you remember that one? And he's like, yes, I do remember. And then I kind of got sick of doing apartments. They kind of all look the same once you've been on level 1, 10, 13, 18, 20. I used to leave all my stuff in apartment 01, but forgot which level I left my stuff on. And I'd find it a week later. Okay, that's where my water bottle was. So then I joined ADCO. And as you can see, in my somewhat brief time at ADCO, about 4 years, I've kind of done quite a mix of projects. First one being a Bunnings warehouse, 30,000 square metres, lots of walking. I feel like I lost so much weight on that project, just walking everywhere. I've done a primary school not too far away from here, and I'm currently now on an aquatic centre with about 7 different size pools, gym, cafes, multi-purpose rooms, you name it, which is almost finishing quite soon actually. And my next project's a hospital out in Griffith. So that's going to be an adventure. I'm taking the dog and the husband and we're going out to Griffith. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I feel like I can be a part of every single facet of, I don't know, just life, you know. Everyone goes to hospital, everyone goes to school, everyone goes to Bunnings, including me. Even if it's just to collect paint samples, that's my favourite. I just collect samples and I walk out and the guy just gives me that weird look like, is that really all you came for? But yeah, on a side note, I actually studied interior design part-time whilst working on the warehouse project. So was able to kind of fulfill that kind of other side of my brain. But yeah, that's pretty much how I got to where I am. So I've got another 30, 40 years to go. Yeah.
Thank you, Erica. And let's give her a round of applause. Now, Erica is quite humble. She was recently promoted to senior project engineer. And at 28 years old, that is an incredible feat. And also, yes, she is going to Griffith, but that hospital at Griffith is our company's largest ever project. So she's going, I think the market is promoting it as around a $260 million hospital. So an incredible opportunity and yeah, a bit of a change, country lifestyle, wide streets out there, I hear. Great Italian, yes, I have heard that. There's the Italian mafia out there. Okay, I'm going to hand over to this incredible woman who I believe some of you in the audience may know, Dawn Carroll.
Hi. I've got my daughter here, so she's probably going to be embarrassed by me. I wanted to be a marine biologist when I was at school, and then at a point in time I changed to wanting to be an art teacher. I was lucky enough that my family did a renovation and there was an architect working on it, so I managed to do some holiday work for him, and then I decided that perhaps being a marine biologist or an art teacher, sad for teaching, but was not what I wanted to do. So I combined that love of science and art and went into architecture. So I did architecture at the University of New South Wales. I have now worked in the construction industry a little bit longer than the ladies on the panel, so 34 years. I started actually through a friend at university. His father was working on a construction site and he gave me a part-time summer job. And I thought, oh, this is great. I really like being on site. I liked being able to go outside, up on a crane, things that we're not allowed quite to do without a lot of OH&S now. And that got me hooked. I finished architecture and then ever since then I haven't worked as an architect. So I've always worked for construction companies, large construction companies on large projects, and I've been fortunate to be sent away overseas for work. So I worked on the Sydney Olympic Stadium not that long out of university, but I was probably 28, 29 when I started that project. And after the business that I worked for won Chelsea Football Stadium and Wembley Football Stadium, so I got sent to the UK. And I was able to work on other projects in the UK and in Ireland and Germany. I came back and I've managed to have 4 kids along the way. And that's probably a little bit of a challenge working in construction and having that many children, and probably for most people as well. But we've managed to make that work. And along that journey, I've worked on a lot of other projects. I've worked on a hospital. I worked at Prince Wales Hospital in Randwick. I've managed to work on the University of New South Wales. There's a new building that if you go and do science at UNSW, I get to say I built that. And anyone who wants to go and do medicine, although that's not what we're promoting here, the new anatomy lab over there is part of that project. And part of the unique part about doing different projects is the experiences that you get along the way. So I've stood in an operation and actually gowned up and stood in an operation to understand how a hospital works. Last 2 years ago, I stood on U2's stage out at the Sydney Football Stadium before the building got demolished as part of after having won that project for the business that I work for. So that was pretty exciting and a bit weird. Never stood on a stage in front of that many people. They all thought Bono was coming out and it was not Bono. It was a bunch of strange random people. And now I currently work on a project that's in the city that is going to get building hopefully next year. So it's called Cockle Bay Park. It's a $900 million project on the city side of Darling Harbour. And we're currently working with architects from Denmark. So at the moment, the architects are out from Denmark and we're going through a workshop process with the client. So my role is, as the design director, is to manage all of the design team, make sure that that we are going through all the client's needs and that the design is ready to go out to tender. So the construction companies that businesses that I used to work for can tender for the project to hopefully obviously win the right to build the project. So it's a pretty unique project. The photo on the left-hand side is the model in the City of Sydney. So if you go into City of Sydney's office, on the ground floor, they have the model of the city. And one of the things I had to do recently was go and meet the model maker. They're going to build a new one of that grey blob that goes in, and the town planners will look at that and as part of the DA process, assess whether they agree or disagree with what the architect's proposing for the site. And the photos on the other side are of the building, hopefully when it's finished. And the bottom, probably a photo we wouldn't be allowed to do quite like that now, but that was up on the roof of the Olympic Stadium when we were doing construction back in 1999. That's probably about it.
I'm going to ask a quick question now, straight to you, Dawn. You said you worked in the industry for 34 years. Do you still have the same passion now as you did when you first started, or has it even grown?
Oh, I think it's an addictive thing to be able to say that that you built that and get to have those experiences that you have. Like when we built the Olympic Stadium, we were all given the chance to go and see either the opening ceremony or Kathy Freeman, the 400 metre race. So I was actually working on Chelsea and Wembley football stadiums at the time. So I actually stayed in the UK and missed the opening ceremony. Everybody else went to the opening ceremony, and I got to go and see Kathy Freeman run on the track that we built. And so that's pretty addictive, and that goes through, for me, it goes through every sort of project type. For me, it's interesting and it's exciting to see something that is on a page, a piece of paper, a block model, and then it become a real thing. Most people, that don't work in construction, they don't get that experience. And my husband's an accountant, and if we're ever at a dinner party and people ask us what we do, when I say what I do, people start asking me about stuff. When they say, he says he's an accountant, they turn to the next person.
Thank you. Yes, I think one of the benefits I had on the screen before is that the industry offers truly tangible outcomes. And you'll hear it over and over tonight from the women on this stage, but you can actually see what you've been working on come to life, which is really cool. Brittany, I'll hand over to you.
Hi, my name's Brittany. I have been working in the construction industry for 5.5 years in finance, so accounts, and I've also had a finance career for 6 years. When I graduated in high school in 2014, by the way, I don't know if I said I was 25, but when I graduated in 2014, I had really no idea what I really wanted to do, and I had a sort of a mixed bag of subjects that I loved, which were legal studies, business studies, and then community and family studies. So they were my three absolute favourite subjects, my babies, I used to call them, and I sort of didn't really have any sort of direction. So I started studying at Western Sydney University, and then I ended up leaving and moving, actually doing my tertiary qualification of a diploma in applied commerce through TAFE New South Wales, which I found way more enjoyable. So started my career in 2018 with that applied commerce, diploma of applied commerce under my belt. But while I was doing that, I was also working in marketing and advertising as a junior accountant, and also a civil engineering company as an accounts assistant. So that's where I sort of got my first sort of, getting to try and getting my foot in the door in the construction industry. And I found it something I really enjoyed from the start, especially working sort of alongside engineers and alongside teams and getting things done, being able to say, all the ladies have said, I got to build that. So when I started at ADCO, I've worked on every single live project since 2018. So I get to say I've worked on all the projects. So it's probably one of my favourite things. And I probably sound like everybody's dad that goes, oh, I made that, I built that. I'm driving around in the car with my partner. Yeah, I did that. He's like, yeah, I know. I'm like, if I didn't pay these people, they wouldn't have built that. But it's not just about that. And it's just been a really great journey, especially being with the business since I was about 21, 22 years old. Really started off quite early. And I've seen so many women and men even flourish in their roles and, being promoted and seeing, people turn into managers, or even people, transitioning from my role going onto a site-based role, with an assistant contracts administrator or contracts administrator. And it's pretty fabulous to see. I love to see people grow and flourish in their roles, and I feel like, as Amy said before, if you have a growth mindset, you can literally go anywhere with that. And with the amount of knowledge that I've learned, especially, interacting with everyone on projects, I feel like no question is a dumb question. everyone gives you the time of day if you're ever unsure or if you want to know or you want to learn more. You know, everyone is willing to help and willing to push you forward for you to, you know, move into, you know, sort of lean into what you want to do, and, you know, understanding what everyone does is really good as well. And also just, sorry guys, also accounts doesn't really get sort of like a shout out, you know. We're the unsung heroes. We're the ones like working on deadlines, trying to get everyone paid, making sure everything's, you know, looking good from like a compliance or commercial or legal point of view. So we do have like a fair bit of construction and legal knowledge that comes along with the role that it's taken a while to develop. And, you know, with all new things come out, new laws, new contracts and all that sort of thing. So it's a lot of stuff to still wrap your mind around, and it's so like ever changing and growing. So yeah, I think it's a really good opportunity, like working in construction and being able to see, you know, two different sides of the business. We get to see the site, and we also get to see what goes on, you know, behind the scenes in the office that a lot of people on site don't get to see. And then, you know, interacting with everyone is great. So and yeah, it's me.
Thanks, Britt. And also, when Britt says that she's working on every project, in New South Wales alone, we're delivering 23 projects across the entire state, as we mentioned, Griffith. So we are regional as well. And Britt is in a team of 2 people doing all of that work. So it's incredibly impressive. And you get to, you know, tap into that legal interest that you had at school. So yeah, there's opportunity to still explore passion whilst developing your own career. I'm going to hand over to the lovely Eloise to introduce herself now.
Hello everyone, I'm Eloise Carroll and I'm actually a Brigidine alumni, so I graduated Brigidine in 2018. And I guess when I was at school I had 3 really key passions. I loved DT with Mr. Bebb and building things. I loved science and understanding how things worked, and I guess biology, that was my key focus. And I loved Duke of Ed. I was the Duke of Ed poster girl and absolutely loved being outdoors. So I was like, what is a way that I can combine those 3 things together? I was originally looking at environmental engineering or marine biology, but with engineering I definitely was worried as to the amount of maths there, as it definitely isn't one of my strong points. And then with marine biology I was worried at sort of the job market there. So I decided to study a bit broader, more environmental science. So I'm doing a Bachelor of Advanced Science and a Bachelor of Creative Intelligence and Innovation. So what is that, you may ask? With advanced science, I've majored in environmental biotechnology, as you were saying before. So I really love biotech. I've looked at everything from oceanic conservation, contamination, aquatic ecology, any sort of remediation. That's what I'm involved. So I'm technically trained as a molecular biologist, but I work as an environmental scientist. And with creative intelligence, I look at any sort of sustainability, problem solving, resilience. That's sort of my focus. So a lot of, I guess, urban planning elements in that as well. So I'm finished my degree at the end of the year, and I was really fortunate in first year. I went onto my university careers page, and they had a job at an environmental services firm, and for some ridiculous reason they decided to take me on in my first semester, and I'm forever grateful to them. So I worked at that company for just under 3 years, and at that I was exposed to a whole range of, I guess, environmental design, construction, engineering firms. So I got sort of a good scope on that, and then over summer I decided to work in the mines. So I was meant to do a fly-in, fly-out role in Western Australia, and then 2 days before I was meant to leave, I unfortunately didn't get the border pass, so I was moved to their mine in Orange, New South Wales. So I worked in summer in Australia's biggest gold mine, so I went 1,400 metres underground, which was the craziest thing I've ever done. And then also as an enviro, I was doing a lot of, I guess, monitoring and out in the field. I was working on aquatic ecology projects and any sort of remediation and contamination, so I absolutely loved that. It definitely brought in the elements of sort of outdoor recreation that I love. I'm also studying a Cert 3 in outdoor rec, so I'm becoming a qualified canyon guide. So that's sort of where my studies led me. So I worked in the mines over summer and then came back and have recently started. Been working on the WestConnex project. So I'm out at Roselle. So if you see the Anzac Bridge and the mishmash that's going on there, I'm sorry, that's what I'm responsible for. So I've absolutely loved working there. And I think the most beautiful thing is I've never been so supported in a role. I was definitely nervous coming into construction, but again, never been so supported. There's such a strong focus of women and diversity in construction and any sort of high-vis uniform. I love being out on site, and I guess it's a good balance of, say, I'm out in the site 50% of the time and I'm actively working and exposed to all the problems of engineers, so I'm learning so much constantly. So I've been in a very, very fortunate position. So I guess that's sort of where I'm at working construction now. I've also interned with a climate change research company for 2 years. So I interned with them through my degree, as I said, trained as a molecular biologist, and now I'm working with them as a research scientist, trying to overexpress pigments in algae, and coral research. So that's sort of where I'm at. So I'm definitely juggling a lot at the moment with uni and 2 jobs in environment and sort of in research as well, but I absolutely love it. And I really enjoy sort of everything that I'm exposed to at the moment and constantly having to think on my feet and problem solve. At work yesterday, I was the only enviro in on our area. I usually have a supervisor, but she was on night shift and we had this big environmental problem, and I really had to problem solve and think on my feet to actually halt the job that we were doing for an hour. So it was a big call, but again, I was so lucky that I feel so supported. In my team at John Toland and CPB, I think there's about 10 of us and 8 of us are women, which is something I think is absolutely amazing. And working in the mines, it was a vacation program, and out of the 20 vacation students, 9 of us were women. And I think the beautiful thing is I've never met a group of people or in an industry where women support each other so beautifully. So I think that's the thing that I'm really trying to stress tonight, the cultural shift and the cultural change that I think is encouraging women so beautifully to get involved and really give it a go.
Yeah, well said, I have to say. And I don't think you took a single breath. So I am beyond impressed. And WestConnex is, as I'm sure you all know, a $5 billion project? Yeah, $5 billion project. So, yeah, bravo. I will hand it over now to Claire, who is a bid manager at ADCO, to do her intro.
I think I got the short straw coming after Eloise because I'm like, she's 21 years old and has done so much already. It's pretty impressive. But yeah, I am Claire. I'm a bid manager at ADCO. I'm 29 years old. And as a bid manager, like, I know a lot of these roles would not make sense. And if I was sitting in your seats, still some jobs don't make sense to me. But I'm essentially part of the new business team, which is work winning. So just a little bit of understanding around that. Each project that you see popping up around the city, popping up around Sydney, they don't just call a builder that they like and say, come on in, let's give this a shot, see what you can do. The process to actually get to build these jobs is weeks, if not months, if not years, sometimes in preparation in the back end. So yeah, I'm really proud and excited that I get to be a part of how we win these projects and how we ultimately, end up putting our sign on the gate to get them to where they are. So I suppose where I started out, so I've been in the industry for about 7 years, maybe with a little bit of a break in between for maybe 9 months to a year. But in school, I went to a mixed school in the country, in the west of Ireland, where the height of construction was our neighbours getting an extension, a little reno out the back, including my own home. So, you see these guys coming in, putting a few blocks up. You don't know what goes on in between, but then you've got your reno and your nice new kitchen. And it just really wasn't a thing that was discussed in school. And looking back, it's probably a bit weird especially because it was a mixed school. You can kind of understand sometimes in an all girls school why there might not be much of a focus. But I did go to a mixed school, and still just don't remember it ever being put on the table as kind of a viable option or a career choice. So I really went to college still not knowing what I wanted to do, and it was between nursing and business. I liked maths. My dad was a salesman. I saw what he did every day, and I just thought, okay, let's try that road. So went to university, did commerce for 3 years. Figured after thinking I wanted to do accounting, maybe that wasn't for me, so I specialised in HR. Then coming out of college in the middle of a recession, HR was probably the last role that was being filled, especially in Ireland. So I kind of had to think, right, what am I going to do after this degree? So I did a master's in marketing, and the course I did was a little bit different because it was 70% practical, which meant I was on placements throughout the whole year, which was a big thing for me, because I am kind of a worker and a doer, so that pushed me into that course. And it was probably the best thing I ever did in terms of my education. Did an internship as part of that in media, kind of knew that's not where I wanted to go, started looking around, and eventually I got a role with a construction company, a tier 2 in Ireland, as well in a HR/marketing executive. And the rest is kind of history. I fell in love with it straight away. I got really great exposure across every part of the business. Being in bids, you work with every single person in the business, because you need to have a good understanding of what's going on, how these projects are built, and what we're doing to win them. So I felt like I was everybody's best friend at that company, and everyone came into the office and knew who I was, which was a lovely touch. So after that, I took a little break. I went to America for a year. I still worked for that same company remotely while I was there for maybe 6 months. Came back, kind of had the travel bug, and said I will give Australia a go. That was 4 years ago. So when I came here first, I was adamant that I would just hit the ground running, get straight back into bids, and that's what I would do. But visas and industry differences means that it's not as easy as you think it's going to be. So I ended up getting on the stop-go sign that we all see our Irish girls doing. So I did that for 3 months, which was not something I thought I would ever find myself doing. Ended up being 3 of the best months ever. I learned so much about the Australian construction industry. There are a lot of similarities, but there are also a lot of differences. So that gave me a bit of a grounded, brought me back to earth, literally. I was in workplace every day, high vis, froze to death, was roasting, really got all the seasons in from September to December in my first year. And then, am I going on too long? Then I got offered a job in Lithgow, which was with a civils company working on Energy Australia's power plant up there. So the water pipe, which runs from atop of a mountain there, which I can't remember the name of, down to the power plant and supplies a lot of Sydney. It was the last thing I wanted to do. I had a friend on the job. He said, you should come do this. It was kind of part of my regional work, which is part of visa. He said, come do this. I said, no. I don't know how many times I said no to him. And then he said, look, come on, just give it a go. And I was there for 6 months, and it was the best 6 months I think have ever had, and probably will ever have, in terms of a construction degree or career base. I was one of 2 girls on site, of about 100 guys at the peak of work. And I was in trenches. I had to drive a ute basically 90 degrees up a mountain. I inducted every single guy, which basically means when they came to our site, I told them what the rules were, I told them where they stayed, I gave them an overview of who's who. So which was daunting in itself, you know, having to meet a new guy basically every day, a new girl or a guy, but especially it could be a group of guys sitting in a room and I'm standing in front of them, was pretty daunting, but it was, the best project team I've ever been a part of. I was so supported. We had such a great culture. I think the fact that everyone was living away from home as well, you become each other's family and best friends. And me and Jen, the other girl that was there, I think felt so part of the team and a major part of the team. I think the days we weren't there, we were definitely missed. 6 months did that, finished that off, came back down to Sydney, ended up working for Richard Constructions for a couple of years and joined ADCO almost a year ago to the day, actually. Last week. And it's just gone from strength to strength in terms of bids, especially my experience at home and here, it's just gone through the roof. You can imagine there is quite a difference between the projects in the west of Ireland and in Sydney. That's pretty much my story.
I have the pleasure of working quite closely with Claire, and it is always a hoot. We have the loudest part of the office, without a doubt. But also, I have to say, Claire brings such a creative, and I want to say, without this being negative, like an emotional, you bring an emotional sense to our bids. And one in particular, which we recently won, not too far away at Macquarie Park, is actually, I'll let you talk about what the project is, but if you just want to do a quick 30 seconds on it.
So we recently won the Next Sense Centre of Excellence at Macquarie University, and it's a project which is a research and learning facility for deaf and blind children. So as part of that bid, you have to research your client, you have to research the end user. So we reached out to our company in New South Wales for anyone who might be affected in some way, shape or form by vision or hearing loss. And we had, a lot of people come forward that we were able to share their story as part of our bid and our proposal, to show that we genuinely care and we genuinely know what a facility like this does for people. And I think the client really appreciated that in the end as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly a beautiful project. And I think we've still got a few years away until it opens up to the public. But it just goes to show that there is that the end user and people are in mind even at the very early stages of what we do in the construction industry. So we're almost finished now with panel introductions, but I will leave it with Angela to close us out on the intros.
Alrighty, hi everybody. So my name's Angela. I'm a design coordinator at ADCO Constructions and I'm working towards design manager. I've been in the industry overall for about 7 years, but construction with the builder itself, only 1.5 with ADCO. I've had a bit of a winding journey to where I am today. So I was also a North Shore girl. I went to Roseville College. So all girls, came across Brigidine on the tennis court a few times, beat you, so to say. But when I was in school, you guys would understand, it was very uni-focused, based on, what you're studying, what your interests were at the time. I was sports mad. I went into sports management. I enrolled. I was like, I don't actually want to do this. I might love sport, but I don't want this as my career. So I actually went and was a tennis coach because I was tennis mad, as you can see from the picture up there. But again, I thought, I don't want this for my career, my professional career, but I still wasn't really sure what I wanted my professional career to be. I'd always had a passion for design, so I went back to study. There I am in the Sydney in design, checking out the cool furniture because I was like, yeah, that's what design's about. No, it's so much more. So I ended up studying a Bachelor of Design while I also worked part-time. I started at quite a small firm where I had some amazing women that I got to work with, not only in the design but the PM roles, which was really exciting for me. I then went to a larger practice where I met even more amazing women. And I just want to say the biggest thing for me in my entire career is being mentors. I believe in them so much, and talking to somebody, even if they're not going to be doing the career that you end up in, just being able to bounce off them about what's going on, where you want to go. And both these businesses and even at ADCO, I've been so fortunate with the women that I've connected with. And in these jobs, I was already starting to see like the careers and senior roles that women could have. But it was at this larger practice that I got to work on my baby, which was Wenty Leagues. Didn't go there often. Not sure any of you would have. But I loved going out there, and that's actually where I got to meet ADCO. They were the builders. In this role, I actually got to be the lead interior designer through construction management. So there were two teams doing the design, but I got to run it for on-site. And this is where I got my first taste of site life, and I loved it. I was part of making it happen, making decisions on the fly. The builders there going, come on, we need to do it. The tradies here, what's happening? You're problem solving, it's fast paced. And yeah, I got to meet the ADCO team, and they were all men. I'd rock up to the site shed. You can probably see I'm a bit girly in my dress, but I didn't feel any different. We were all there to make something great. They were so welcoming. It really didn't matter that I was the one carrying a handbag. And still to this day, like, they're great friends of mine. And I honestly felt like I was working at ADCO before I had actual employment at ADCO. It was awesome. It was destined to happen. But through these connections, and I was getting to know the site guys, and I was loving it. And I said to them, I'm actually really interested in this. Like, what can I do? And they introduced me to some of the senior females at ADCO, construction managers and the like. And they started talking to me about what can someone with my background, but also a woman, do at a construction company, because I didn't know. Like I said, all females, girls' school, none of this was ever mentioned to me, didn't even think of it as a possibility. They really triggered my passion even more, and were telling me just how relatable my experience with the design was going to be into construction. I'm now actually working on the early design phase of another club with ADCO, which is really exciting. It's a huge job, like $100 million. I've also got to work on the Sutherland Entertainment Centre, the Manly Seagulls Centre of Excellence, Heffron Centre for the Rabbitohs. Being sports mad, I love making my guy friends jealous that I'm at all these sporting events and they're not. So that's a bit of a perk. But I love being on this side where I'm making it happen and making the designer, the client, and the end user happy. So there really, for me, is just so much in the construction industry to offer that I had no idea about. I'm so grateful that I've learnt now, as you know, some of the other ladies here. I'm still quite early on in my career. I've got a lot ahead of me. I'm so excited for the growth ahead of me. I used to always wonder, like, is this what I want? What's happening next? Not sure. I'm the most content in my career now than I've ever been. And I'm not wondering anymore. I'm excited for the future. So I can't speak more about how happy I am to be here. And yeah, I look forward to hearing more of your stories. And yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for having us. So.
Look, I'm really conscious for time, so I'm not going to share my journey because I think it's going to be far more interesting if we hear from the panel. But I will quickly touch on what my role consists of, just so you get a sense of what business development manager actually means. I have, along with Claire, I work in the work winning or new business team, and predominantly my role is talking to our clients, talking to our trade partner network, talking to our consulting network, and identifying what the opportunities are. So aligning what the skill sets are of our people with the opportunities that are coming in the market. At the same time, my role is about problem solving as well. Clients will quite often come to me and they'll be under time pressure because they'll have leased a building and promised a time when the building will be available to the tenant. That tenant has sold their building and they're under some serious time pressure to get things out of the ground. And I work with them, and I'm not going to take credit for solving any of those problems because I have access to some incredible specialists in our business, construction programmers who have the amazing ability to pick up drawings and work with, DA submissions to put together a program of how a building or a hospital or a school or anything comes together, and essentially how long each milestone within that program will actually take. She's brilliant. As well as working with the design team, engineers, project managers and the like to help solve problems on the fly. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. There's serious highs and lows to my job because I am an incredibly passionate person, and when we have tunnel vision on winning a job that I truly believe is perfectly aligned with the skill sets of our people, I know it's going to inspire passion within them, and then at the end we don't win it because someone else has put forward a better price or a better team. It's crushing. But then that comes along with the highs when you do win a project and, you ring that bell. And seriously, there is a bell in our office that we ring when we win. And it's not just a little handheld bell. This is a big thing on the wall that you're like dinging like this. There's the celebration is really cool. But the journey in my role, I have to say, is it's not really highs and lows on a week-by-week basis. I love what I do, and I work with incredible people, incredible women, and I consider myself to be an ambassador for women in the industry. So beyond working with ADCO people, I have the pleasure and honour to work with people outside of our business at competitor businesses, grads, people working in different disciplines, including engineering and architecture, and hopefully inspiring and enlightening them on the future. I have a few mentees, one on the stage. Ange and I work together, and I'm a big believer in empowering young women. And so that's about enough for me, I feel. If you want to bear with us for another 10 minutes, we can fly through some questions. And if you have any questions from the audience, we would love to hear from you. So throw your hands up if there's anything burning inside you that hasn't yet been covered in our discussion tonight. But otherwise, I'm going to throw to some, and we'll make this pretty punchy. But yeah, throw out any questions you have at any time, and I'll cut them off and let you have a crack. But let's just quickly, is that everyone fine to stay another 10 minutes? Yeah? Okay, cool. I'm just going to I feel like we've, had a chance to get to know everyone really quickly, but let's fly through. Just curious to know, when you were little, say 5, 6, what do you want to be when you grow up? Let's go through.
I'll start. I, standard girl, wanted to be an actress. Have no acting chops whatsoever. So that died very quickly. But yeah.
I wanted to be an air hostess. I watched too many Disney movies, and I'm pretty sure I had this one colouring book, and it was of Minnie Mouse, and she was like pushing the trolley, and my mum had a heart attack. I still have the travel bug, so I think that's where it kind of set off. But yeah.
I wanted to be a vet and a singer. So, guys, that worked out so well.
Mine was pretty basic. I had, those tills and a beat where you put the little...
Check out
That's me. Yeah.
I love that. That's so sweet. I wanted to be a marine biologist, so have sort of still stuck with that a little bit.
might be in the last name. Yeah. But I wanted to be a marine biologist as well when I was little.
Dawn, hold the microphone. I'll ask you the next question. I want to ask you what the biggest change that you've seen in the industry since you started, particularly as it relates to diversity and inclusion.
So probably the obvious thing is the number of women in the industry. So my first project when I was at university was for some of the parents here, the Mark Foy's building, and they turned it into the Downing Centre Court. So none of us really want to go there. But there were 2 women on the project. So there was an engineer, and she was probably in her 30s, and myself. And there was probably about 1,200 people on that project. So from that to now, that I can go into a meeting and I'm not the only woman is a massive change. It's obviously there's still a low percentage, but there is a massive change coming through. There's a lot of undergrads and grads that are coming through at various, in all sorts of areas of the market. But that's the biggest change really for me, that there is certainly a lot more women, and it's not as unusual for me. And so now it's quite different, because for me, I've always been having coffee with the blokes. And so now it's actually a bit weird in a way. It's like, oh, I have to talk to women, because that seems odd to say, but that's for me the change.
Yeah, that's awesome. Eloise, I'm going to ask you a question. So you're a woman in construction. You're also Gen Z, and your generation are digital natives and on track to be the most well-educated of the generations yet. What would you say about the construction industry that would appeal to your generation and many of the young women in the theatre tonight?
I guess the biggest thing that sticks out to me is the construction industry. And I'm a 4th year university student about to finish my degree, so I'm looking and interviewing for a range of companies I want to work in an industry and with a company that is really conscious in terms of sharing my own values. So that is, for me, I really love the environment and its protection and conservation. Also elements of like social inclusion, so any diversity. I think that's a really big thing in terms of inclusion and diversity. And again, women in construction, but also say the LGBTQI, I hope I got that right. That's also a big thing that is being stressed, I think, as well. So it's this idea that we're an industry that's so inclusive. We're trying to get the best and the brightest minds, but also get the biggest breadth of people from not only in Australia, but even from overseas, which I think is absolutely so exciting. Working with half my team are Irish, and they're the funniest people. I love them. So I guess sort of coming into that sense, I really want to work with a company and industry that contributes to community and has sort of you at the centre, and that also it's a role that's twofold of you're getting something from the company, but they're also contributing towards you as well. And I think that's something being stressed tonight, as everyone's been saying, oh, like I get told that I built that or something like that, but I think it's more so that we're people that want to contribute to community and get actively involved in community, and that's sort of how we do that in our roles.
Yeah, I love that. I certainly agree with that alignment of values, and that's certainly a decision I made before moving to ADCO. And I had, not to brag, but I had a few opportunities on the table, and it really did come down to where I felt my values aligned with the company values. And it's not just token as well, and I can hand on heart say that there is a true passion for that contribution to the community and across different areas. So actually, just on that note, I'll ask a few of you, like in my experience, I've worked in the construction industry now for about 4 years, in the property industry for 10, and I have specifically to construction, I felt a real sense of belonging to a community. And, that brings a lot of joy to me. I guess I'm interested to know what your experience has been in that sense, if it's been the same, if it's been different. Claire, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so I've always felt really included culturally in all of my construction jobs and companies. And I think one of the most unique things that we probably have is that we do have a chance to celebrate a lot. And we do celebrate everything, like, you know, different milestones on every single project, wins. So we have a really good opportunity to all get together a lot of the time, which just kind of adds to the culture, I suppose, and that community within projects and within the company itself.
Yeah, cool. Does anyone else want to share their experience?
Yes, I'd have to say the best thing about construction, or especially ADCO, would be we have a Women of ADCO where we get to all come together in all different parts of the business and discuss strategies on how we can be a better business to market towards women, and trying to get more people involved and trying to do better in our industry, which is something that I quite enjoy, coming from like wanting to do community and family studies in high school and being able to get out there, speak to other women with all different ideas and all different backgrounds, and then how to bring those ideas together to, you know, be a part of the community and be a part of like everybody's everyday life. And I think construction is such a big community to be a part of, and it's a great one as well.
Is that something to that?
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, going off cue. I just wanted to add that the sites that I've been on, the guys want us there and they really want to know what the women of their company are doing. And I've been on these sites. I hang out with them afterwards. I'm not on the job anymore, but they're like, come to the Christmas party because, you know, you were part of it. And, you know, there's a picture of me up there. That was me on the crane at Brookvale Oval because a PM wanted to take me around and show me what was happening, you know, in the trenches, as Claire liked to say. They want to join in with us and be a part of us. And so, yeah, they're always wanting the Women of ADCO community as well to touch base with them because they see such value in getting our opinions. So it just really is amazing. Sorry to jump in.
The Women of ADCO, we had a national conference only in March this year where 100 women in our business came to Sydney. The borders were finally open. We didn't think WA would make it in, but they were allowed in at that point. And yeah, we had 3 days at the Shangri-La, and it was one of the most amazing conferences I've ever been to. And I, as business development, I get around to a lot of conferences, I'll tell you. And it wasn't just, you know, some of the guys may think it's coming together and braiding each other's hair and sipping cups of tea. No, it was hard work. There was strategy. There was networking. There was, you know, we were solving problems. There was professional development. And it was amazing. We were put up at the Shangri-La in the city, which was really cool. Breakfast on the top level every morning, which was really nice as well. But a huge investment from our owner in the women in our business. And we are not unique in doing things like that because the opinions and the perspectives of women in construction truly are valued. And I hope that you take that away with you tonight. But I'll ask a few more questions before we wrap it all up. You know, keeping on the, you know, on the vibe of perks, what are some other perks about working in the construction industry that maybe people don't know about? Erica?
I don't know if it's much of a perk, but it's kind of a mishmash of this question and the previous question. But I've been, my past 2 projects, I've been the only girl. I think it just happened that way. But it's so funny whenever there's a problem to solve or there's a client who's a bit on edge or something, the whole room just looks at me and they go, Erica's the most calm and she's the one that's got the longest fuse. So we'll just push her right over there to kind of just speak to them and see if she can come to an agreement with them. And I think it's being women, you bring a different perspective, 100%. Some of the guys I mean, guys too have different personalities. Some are super quiet, some are super loud, but just being able to connect on a different level with your subcontractors, your clients, even the person that walks past and they peer through and they're like, what are you guys doing? It definitely, I think, creates that whole, just a very wholesome, very balanced environment, and you get things done. Yeah.
Not necessarily the perk I was thinking of, but no, still a great perk. Great perk.
I can give it a go.
Go on.
So I know you lunch a lot.
I certainly do lunch a lot, but it's part of my job.
So I do lunch a lot as well, and I see Amy out at a lot of functions. I'd say as well the opportunity to travel. So travelling within Australia, there's a lot of people wanting to move regionally. There's great opportunities to work on projects regionally in Australia and really forge a career out, in our country, but there's opportunities overseas as well. So there's so many projects that you can take your skills to. So I was really lucky. It is a while ago now, but I did get sent to the UK, and I got to work on great projects and get flown business class backwards and forwards. So that was very nice to go upstairs and see you later, everybody. Don't get that now because obviously I'm working on a project in Sydney. But I've got friends who work for an architecture firm and they exclusively do sporting stadiums, and I know that they are up in the platinum level frequent flyer points because they travel really quite extensively because they are doing projects all around the world. So there's a great opportunity to travel, go and do other things in other places, see art galleries, walk the streets, get out, go to art, eat out, and have someone else, pay you to go and do that.
And if you're smart, and eventually you'll be paying lots of tax at some point, if it's construction industry or others. But in construction, because there's buildings everywhere, if you're smart, you can have holidays as a tax write-off. Just go to a conference or meet a client. That's what I do. So.
I think there's also so much opportunity for internal upskilling and further study as well. Like, it was the second day at my job and the head enviro came to me and he's like, what do you want out of this? Where do you want to be? And how can we facilitate that? And within the first week, I've done some research in bioplastics. I was in a seminar researching bioplastics in the construction industry and what we can do for that. So it's like so relevant and there's so much to learn. And even I've had conversations at work about potentially being able to do a master's and work pay for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the slide before, it's a perk, I guess, but the industry pays on average 7% more than the medium average wage. So there's the potential for incredibly high incomes in the industry as well. Look, I think we'll wrap it up with just one final question from the crew. Oh, we do have a question from the audience. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to thank all the ladies on the panel for speaking tonight. I'm the careers counsellor here at Brigidine St Ives, and I know Eloise well, and I'm just so delighted that you're here and the way you have spoken about your career choices and the opportunities that you've just taken with both hands and are doing so well at such a young age. I'm really, really proud that you've come here tonight and just really shown us what a young person from Brigidine girls can do everything, as we know, but to show what you can do in this construction industry. And I'm just hoping that Amy might find a way for our girls to do some work experience.
We have that in check. We've got
wonderful
5 girls coming in August, 2 going to site, 3 in the office, and I am so excited about this. I think it's the first of potentially 2 weeks with us. Oh, hello.
Lovely.
Oh, two. Oh, just you. Awesome. We've got a very exciting program for the girls, and I would love to see more and more young women consider doing work placement, just to get a true taste of what you can expect if you do choose a career in the industry. And I think it'll be really exciting. And also, we're a pretty dynamic business with plenty of activity occurring every day. So I'm excited to host you in August, and hopefully there's a few others that might be encouraged to take up work placement with ADCO in the future. Thank you. Now we'll wrap it up, but with one final question, and that is, the construction industry is embracing the advancement of women. What advice would you give to young women considering a career in construction today? And we'll start with Dawn.
I thought I wasn't going to get this one.
It's for everyone.
I think definitely consider it and get out there and get into it, because you know, being able to say you built that is, I know we've all said it, it's pretty exciting to be able to do that.
We'll go down the line.
I think what I would say is take every opportunity possible. I didn't think I would be working in Ives or working in the mines, but just by saying yes to it and being aware to sort of the opportunities out there as well, I guess at this point in time, maybe rely on your parents as well to sort of feel out for those opportunities. But I guess as you progress into university, like regularly check your career boards, everything like that. But also I think try and find a mentor. I'm very lucky in the sense of Dawn is my auntie or second auntie, and I've always heard about the incredible projects that she's always working on and the fascinating things that she's doing, or the amazing places when you're in the UK. So I think it's been really cool to have Dawn as my role model and a bunch of other women and men in sort of relevant industries that I've really connected with, and they've supported me through, that I can bounce off in terms of, do you think this is good, taking a job? When I applied for this job, I went straight to Dawn. I was like, what do you think? But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
I would agree with Eloise in just grab every opportunity. Like, I wish I had this talk at school, and whether it's for you or it's not for you, at least, you know, you have the tools to make that proper decision. Companies are generally more than happy to have people in for work experience. So just, get out there. If there's anything at all, any industry, any job that you think you might be interested in, just pick up the phone, speak to who you know. Just get as much information as you can about every job that you think you're going to like. Because some of them, I guarantee you'll end up saying, oh God, you find out a little bit more you love, or you can also hate them. Totally agree.
Probably the best advice I could give is, if you're looking to begin a career in construction, is jump in with both feet and just realize that it's a journey, and you will find yourself and what you want to do, and you will grow, and it's an environment you will thrive in. And especially if you're someone that wants to consistently and constantly be learning new and different things, it's the best for that, I reckon. 10 out of 10, I'd give it.
I think it's amazing that we all come from different parts of the industry, and we kind of have the similar resonating advice. So pretty much it's, take every opportunity you get. It's just like taking 10 cupcakes at the buffet, and if you eat all of them, you kind of eat all of them. But my brother got into the industry. He thought I was having a lot of fun, so he was just like, I'm going to do it too. But he tried it, and he kind of, it wasn't for him, but at least he had a go, and you literally don't know if it's for you or not unless you actually have a go.
Yeah, look, mine's very similar. My advice comes from my mentor over here, And I said before, mentors, I think, are amazing to talk through anything that you're going through, as some of the girls have suggested. But the best advice I was given recently was get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And I think it's really true. And there's a lot of stigma around construction, especially for women. It's not there. This industry's changing. And yeah, like we've all said, just dive in and give it a go. There's so much passion in this industry. I think you've sensed it tonight. So yeah, I'll just repeat what all of you said. But yeah, get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Hope you'll remember that. It's a good one.
Can I just add to that? I feel like I've always progressed the most or learnt the most whenever I was scared. I've noticed that. I'm just starting to see that kind of, that tangent, yeah.
That's saying, like, when one door closes, another one opens. Every career change I've made, it's only gotten better. Like,
but if you're not scared, it means you're comfortable and
Yeah.
you're not actually expanding. You can't do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. So you have to literally just
Definition
try
of
everything.
insanity right there.
I was just like, you know what, a 7-hour drive from Sydney sounds like a lot of pain, but I'm going to try.
Well said, everyone. I will impart a piece of advice. I don't think you need to have all the answers right now. I started 5 different degrees at university and finished 2, but started 5 because I had no idea at school, no idea what I was going to be when I grew up. I hated being asked that question. I still ask myself that question now, but I can answer it by saying, I'm not entirely sure, but I think I'll still be working in construction in the next 20 to 30 years. Oh gosh, that's a long time. But yeah, I want to say you don't have to have the answer now. And yeah, just keep an open mind to the construction industry, and we'd love to see some future engineers, architects, tradespeople from the audience today working on our sites in the next 5 to 10 years, hopefully. I have no idea how old you are. But I will wrap it up there, and thank you so much for your attention and your time tonight, and a big thank you to everyone, particularly Tish and Pamela and Leone. I am so grateful that you've given us this opportunity. I hope you get a sense of the passion that we have as women in construction. And I'm just wondering if there's been anyone who would now perhaps throw their hand up if for a consideration for a career in the construction industry. Just a show of hands. Anyone? We got any more takers? Oh yeah, there's a few more. Fantastic. Hey, look, it's never too late. Never too late. But yeah, look, thank you again. Please take with you the books we have on the inside front cover. There is an email address that you can get in contact with this group. We've set up an account so it'll go to all of us. And yeah, any questions you have, feel free to reach out. Reach out to Pamela or Leone if you do want to have further conversations with any of us too. We'd be more than happy to have a chat, have a hot chocolate or hard coffee. But I wasn't allowed to drink coffee till I left school, so I'm not sure what the rules are these days. But yeah, thanks again, guys. Yeah.
Do any girls have any questions for anybody? We've got or we can save them for later on and you can email them to us and we can send them on. Or hopefully you'll all get a chance to maybe visit over the next few years as part of our work placement and work experience programs. Oh, we've got a question.
Do you want to wrap Michael?
We can pass that up, thanks.
I really liked listening to all of your amazing life experiences, but I just wanted to ask again, which universities did you graduate from or are still studying in, and which courses did you all take?
Great question. So, I did UTS for sports management, then stopped, and then I went back to the Design Centre Enmore for my Bachelor of Design. I actually, just a little side note, I went through the phone book and I called up all these companies and I said, if you're going to hire someone, do you want them to come from TAFE or do you want them to come from uni? And I went to about 10 different companies and it literally was 50-50. And I'm so glad I made the decision I did because it was so much more hands-on for the career that I ended up taking. But yeah, that was my little bit of research to help me figure out what the industry wanted.
I was studying a Bachelor of Construction Management Property at the University of New South Wales.
I started at Western Sydney University and then moved to TAFE, New South Wales, and did a tertiary diploma in applied commerce.
I think my university is irrelevant, but I did commerce for 3 years and then I did a master's in marketing.
So I'm still at UTS, so I'm doing a Bachelor of Advanced Science, majoring in Environmental Biotech, and a Bachelor of Creative Intelligence and Innovation, and on the side doing a Cert 3 in Outdoor Rec. And believe it or not, when I do job interviews, they don't ask me about the university degree, they ask me about the TAFE course and people management skills and anything to do with safety in my Cert 3 and like canyon guiding.
I did architecture at the University of New South Wales, which was, when I did it, was a 5.5 year full-time degree with half a year being work experience.
I started a Bachelor of Law, started a Bachelor of Political Science, started a Bachelor of Environmental Science, finished with a Bachelor of Business with a major in Economics and a Bachelor of Communications with a major in Public Relations and Marketing at the University of Queensland. They have all of my money. Any other questions, guys? Oh, yeah.
You need your architecture degree to do what you're doing. You know, you said you did your architecture degree and then you didn't practice architecture as such.
Yeah.
Do you need that degree as your basis for what you're doing?
After I worked on site, I looked to change to a degree. Back then it was called Bachelor of Building, but the building, the supervisors wouldn't give me any credits for the year that I'd already done at architecture, so I finished at the same time, so I stayed doing architecture. A lot of people who are doing similar roles to myself have a architecture degree. It's quite common now. Some people come through the engineering field or through the degree that UTS and UNSW have now, which is construction management. And some people also do, say, interior design, because you need to have an understanding of how a building is designed, and you get that. You get an all-round grounding in architecture, and that's why eons ago it was the master builder was an architect.
I just want to add to that the degree itself isn't necessarily important as a hiring manager in our business. What I look for is for people who have started something and finished it, and have gone on to educate themselves, if it's been a TAFE course or a bachelor or whatever it's been, that they have gone on to finish a degree or a diploma or whatever it is. And I've got someone working in my team who has studied literature, which is not necessarily relevant to the construction industry, but I mean, she's brilliant at what she does, and she taps into that. She's writing a sci-fi novel on the side, but yeah, she showed that she can start something and finish it, and I really think hiring managers look for that. So it's not necessarily directly relevant to the industry. Some will certainly be important. But it's just about showing that you can finish. Any other questions, guys? Cool. Thank you so much.